Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being today, and uh, so it's great pleasure to see like the new set of faces tonight. I think the topic made everyone to come here. Um, so I'm Chamara, head of startup ecosystem at Launchpad. So Launchpad is a place where uh, we give freedom for founder or a builder or someone who wants to create something new or some build something that challenging the status quo. So so that's where Cameron is also based and building um, this digital creation. So um, Cameron is a great example for that, building something um, for people enjoy while staying on the Isle of Man. And he proved that you don't need to be in a big city or have a big team to, you know, build something people love as well. So today he will share um, his journey with you all, how he started, how he learned things while going through this, I would say, the roller coaster journey, and how you all can also learn something, right? Whether you are a student or a parent or a founder or a business person who can, learn something new and be curious about this new digital economy and digital creations. So, and I would like to thank you all for come and support today's session, because these kind of sessions will actually help for us to everyone to learn new skills, meet new people, and build something that matter. So Cameron, the stage is yours. And quick note, we are not live streaming today's session, but we are recording it, and we'll publish it later for everyone who couldn't join today. So stage is yours, Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Shamra. I'm Cameron, and welcome to my talk on building Roblox games and making a successful online business. So the talk's going to be about half an hour. There will be time at the end for questions, and I'll be here till about 6:30 if anyone wants to speak with me or anything like that. I would like to start with a show of hands. Is anyone in the room a game developer or an aspiring game developer? That's very nice. And is anyone here just because they're interested in Roblox? Nice. And is anyone here who doesn't really know what Roblox is, but they're just interested in local businesses and what they're up to? Nice. I'll start with, what is Roblox? So Roblox is now the biggest gaming platform in the world by far. It's a lot bigger than anything else you might be playing, like Minecraft or Fortnite or anything similar. So much bigger in terms of monthly users. And the unique thing about Roblox is that all the games on it are made by developers from all around the world. So if you go on the homepage, you can see hundreds of creations, and they're all made by either independent people or small businesses. And that's a really unique thing about Roblox. I'll go on to how I started. So this is me when I was 6 years old. I had a game called Restaurant Tycoon. I had on a little CD-ROM, and that's kind of what inspired me to start loving this type of game. It was a game where you could build your own theme park, and I really loved it, so much so that about 10 years later I would discover Roblox, and I would make my first penny from making Roblox games. I made a game called Clone Tycoon, which was a game where you could make your own army of little Roblox clones. And now, about 10 years later, I'm a full-time Roblox developer and business owner, and I've made a game series called Restaurant Tycoon, where players can essentially build their own restaurant. So I'll start with a bit of what is Restaurant Tycoon? You can log into the Roblox world. You can claim a plot. You can choose what you want your restaurant to look like, build out your ultimate restaurant. You can hire and manage staff, choose what kind of food you want to serve, choose a menu, and essentially create your dream restaurant inside the Roblox world. So obviously it's gone through quite a few iterations. It started off with Restaurant Tycoon 1, where players could build a more basic restaurant, and over the years I've built on the code, and now players can build entire castle restaurants. They can have so much control over the building of their restaurant, and this is just an example from a player here. It's kind of impressive, the kind of things that people can build nowadays. So we've actually hit over 1 billion total play sessions across all versions of Restaurant Tycoon, which is such a big number, and I can't even wrap my head around it. We get about 8 million people logging in every single month, and about 500,000 every single day. And we hit a peak number of players of 67,000, so it's almost like entertaining a whole stadium's worth of people all at once. And of course the game is free to play as well. So after this you can feel free to Google Restaurant Tycoon 3, log on, and I encourage you to give it a go. So now I'm going to talk a bit more about the business model of a Roblox developer. So Roblox games are making a lot of money, and it's growing as well. So this is the top 1,000 Roblox developers. On average, this was stats from Roblox themselves, made almost like $1 million on average in the last 12 months, which is such a crazy number. And that's also up by about 3 times since 2020. And you can see how, a lot of the money is across like the top 1,000 Roblox developers rather than just the top 10. So big numbers. Now I'll talk about how a free game actually makes money. So we get only about 10% of people actually paying for our game. 90% play it for free. But there's things in Roblox called game passes, where people can buy extras to the game. So in our game, for example, there's passes that allow them to build more complex restaurants. They can automate their restaurant a bit more. And also in Roblox, you can serve video ads to your players, and that's another way to earn Robux, which is essentially the currency within Roblox. And then I can cash that out into real money. Developer products is essentially where players can buy more cash inside the game to help build their restaurant. And then also brand partnerships. You see a lot of Roblox games doing this nowadays. So this is where inside a Roblox game there might be ads. In our case, we did a brand partnership with a company called Bomb Pop, who are like an icicle company based in the US, and they wanted to advertise their ice pops inside our game, which was a great collab to do. So I'll talk a bit about our team. So I do most of the programming and the game design. Roblox is all inside a programming language called Lua. And then I find some very talented people from around the world to help me with 3D modeling. This is also my brother who helps me a bit with 3D modeling inside a program called Blender. And then this is just a screenshot from today because we're adding some new Christmas furniture to the game. And if you're a Roblox developer yourself, there's a great place called the Talent Hub where you can find very talented individuals to help you with either coding or 3D modeling or anything like that. Now, one of the other interesting things about Roblox is that the money is very heavily weighted in Roblox's favour. As a developer, I only get about 35% of the money that's actually spent on my game, which seems very low, but I'll get more into why that is later. Another thing that I see on Roblox is that small companies are consistently outperforming really large brands on Roblox. I'm going to explore why that is. So you can see my game here, Restaurant Tycoon 3. It had about 15,000 people playing it when I took this screenshot. But you see games Star Baker, that's a game about the Great British Bake Off. That was made by the actual BBC, but it only had about 47 players online. Or Hell's Kitchen by ITV. Seems to be struggling a bit, it's not doing that well on Roblox, whereas games made by more independent creators often do a lot better. One of the great things about Roblox is the barriers to entry are so low. You can literally log in online and for completely free, you can open Roblox Studio, you can make something in 15 minutes and you can publish it and it will be live to the world. You don't need to spend any money putting something together, you can just build it and it'll be out there for everyone. And there's also a really low cost to scale your game. So say like 100 people want to play it, you don't need to spend any money getting like servers or anything like infrastructure. Roblox will handle all of that for you. So if you're a small company, you don't have that much money to put into your game, Roblox is a good option because you don't have to pay to scale your game up, really. And then the other good thing about Roblox is you make the game once and Roblox will automatically put it onto phones, iPads, VR, computers, Xbox. It's just available everywhere, which is one of the great things. And then another reason why small companies do really well is content recommendation algorithms. So this is the kind of thing you see on TikTok and YouTube where you'll always have like a recommended section. It will say on Roblox which games are recommended for you. And Roblox will always recommend the games that are doing really well. It doesn't care who made it, it doesn't care if the BBC made it, or if a really big company made it, or it was made by a small creator. It will push the games to the top that people are liking and spending a lot of time in. So it puts everyone on an even playing field, essentially. So what actually does make a Roblox game good? What puts it on top of the rest? So it comes down to two key things. One is that players are spending a lot of time in the game and they keep coming back day after day and week after week. So I'm going to use an example, which is one of the most popular games on Roblox. It's called Grow a Garden, and if anyone knows a Farmville, it's essentially a 2025 version of that, where you can make your own gardens and plant your own plants. And the reason I'm using it as an example is because it's one of the most popular games, and it actually hit the record this summer for the most number of concurrent players in a single game ever. So 22.3 million people were playing it all at the same time, which is, it beats the entire Fortnite, for example. A lot of games are structured around something called a core loop, which is essentially a really simple loop that players can repeat over and over again. So in Grow a Garden, you buy a seed, you plant it, and you harvest it, And the entire game can essentially be deconstructed down to that. And then in my game, you take an order from a customer, you cook it, and then you serve it to the customer. Now, why are the games structured in such a simple way? First off, this is because it's easy to learn. Someone can just go into the game, they can do a few simple steps, and now they know how to play. They've not got like a very complex list of instructions to figure out what they're doing. They can just jump in and get started straight away. And also, one of the reasons why games are structured in this way is because it's a little bit habit forming. Every time you repeat a few simple steps, you get a small reward, and then that's going to encourage users to, keep repeating that, and it really engages them, and they learn that it's a rewarding behavior. Now, this is what you build on top of the core loop. So a game would be very boring if you just repeated the same steps over and over again and it never got any better. So what a progression loop is how you progress through the game. So in Grow Garden, for example, you can earn money from plants, you buy better seeds, and you can build a better garden. And then in my game, you earn money from customers, you buy furniture, and you build a bigger restaurant. So the idea is that every time you repeat the core loop, you can build something bigger and bigger and progress through the game. And then another important factor is this idea of depth. And what depth is you want people who've been playing your game for 3 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours. They should keep discovering new things all the time. It should never get boring. It should never get too repetitive. But they should, here's an example of someone who's spent hours and hours in the game to build a really big restaurant, unlock a drive-through in their restaurant. And the idea is that they should keep discovering more and more as they play. And it's really important for me that people learn things from the game. In my game, they can learn about different cuisines from around the world. They can be creative, they can build in 3D, and it's all about this idea of wanting them to explore and discover and feel enriched from the game. And the other important factor is player retention. So you don't just want people playing, you want them coming back every single day or every single week. So in our game, for example, we get 14% of people returning the next day, which seems low, but it's actually quite good for a Roblox game. So in Grow a Garden, for example, it has this feature where your plants, they grow even while you're offline. So if you plant it on one day, you always want to come back the next day so you can harvest it, and it does encourage frequent and casual interactions with the game. And then another thing that a lot of games have is really rich social features. So Roblox is a very social game. You get lots and lots of players in the same server. So in this game, you can gift players rare plants and seeds. And in my game, you can go into someone else's restaurant, you can order their food, you can talk to them. It really enriches the interactions within the game. And these kind of mechanisms, they're not just exclusive to Roblox. It's not an accident that that Spotify, for example, has a daily mix because they want you coming back every day. And they also have social features like jams. And then Duolingo, it's a language learning app, but they have streaks. They want you coming back every day. They have leaderboards. They have social features. It's mechanisms like that which are used across a lot of apps and not just Roblox. So once you've made the game, you've made it really good, you've got a good core loop and progression loop. How do you reach a global audience? So less than 25% of my traffic actually comes from the US and the UK. I get a lot of worldwide traffic from Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, the Philippines. It's really, really global. So this is an example of my game in Hindi, and one of the most important things is making sure it's localized and translated into different languages. And this is a game from 2025. You know, why aren't the graphics HD like you would expect in this day and age? Games that are really popular should have really HD graphics and not look like blocky. But what you'll find is that 80% of people playing Roblox are on mobile, and not the whole world has an iPhone 16. A lot of people in Indonesia, for example, will be playing on really low-end devices, so it's really important to make sure that the games that you make perform well on mobile, and that's a good factor in reaching a worldwide audience. So a lot of the work that I do is focused on keeping crash rates really low and creating like an interface in the game which works really well on mobile, so they don't have too many buttons on their screen and things like that, but it's really easy to interact with. And then another thing about the Roblox audience is it's very gender neutral nowadays. A lot of people expect it to be male dominated, but it's actually not. Like if you want to make a fashion game, for example, there are a lot of fashion games on Roblox which do really well as well. So now I'm going to talk about a bit more about algorithms and how they're affecting Roblox, and you know, why Roblox is often in the news nowadays. Is it safe for kids? So you see a lot of news articles nowadays about Roblox and child safety. Now, my opinion is that everyone should be doing a bit more. Roblox should be doing a bit more. They're working on ID verification and AI moderation systems, but also game developers like myself should be doing a bit more. We've been investing quite heavily into making systems where you can report someone's restaurant, for example, if they make anything inappropriate within our game. But also the last part of it is parents and making sure account settings are right, and things like that. And now I'm going to finish on what I think the future is of Roblox and the gaming space. So one thing I see more and more is how many brands are coming onto Roblox and trying to make games, not always successfully, but it is very powerful when it's done right. So just as an example, Spotify have their own game on Roblox where they're trying to essentially advertise themselves and get people interested in Spotify. And then I personally worked on this one as well, which is Detol inside Roblox. And who would think, you know, kids are interested in Detol? Why would kids want to play that? But they are spending their money within Roblox and trying to get a young audience as well. And you see more and more of this like immersive advertising. This is the Hunger Games being advertised on a billboard within Roblox. You know, it's not just TV advertising anymore, but people are seeing ads in 3D. And People are going to concerts inside games and inside Roblox. This George Ezra had a concert. You see this in Roblox and Fortnite. It's happening more and more. People aren't just going to concerts in real life, but in the virtual world as well. You see more and more shopping. I actually saw this about an hour before I did this presentation, but Amazon have their own experience within Roblox where you can actually buy physical products from within a Roblox game, and I thought that was really interesting. And then more and more you see AI being used as well. So nowadays you can just tell the assistant, I want a green dragon, and it will make it for you. And it's another factor which really levels the playing field between big companies who might have the talent to make this kind of thing, or and small developers who might not really know how to do things, but they can prototype things with AI. Say you're not a 3D modeler, you can easily make 3D models with a click of a button. And yeah, I just wanted to end on a note that I talked a lot about data and retention and analytics, but at the end of the day, what's most important is the community and making games that people are going to enjoy, making communities that people are going to join, and then making sure people really feel enriched and playing the game actually improves their life. And I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, we have plenty of time for questions as well. I added some more reading. If anyone's interested in any of these topics, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And yeah, we have quite a lot of time for questions. Shamra, is there anything you want to say before we do questions?
I think we can open the floor. So,
okay. I'll go to you first.
I'll ask you a previous question, actually,
Yeah.
that was in my mind before. So you talked about the breadth and the having activities that kind of build on each other.
Yeah.
How much planning do you do that before you start building the game, and how much of that evolves as you kind of try the game out, see what people do, come up with the next idea?
Yeah, interesting. So we're actually, I love iteration. I like building like a prototype and then putting that out there, and then sort of listening to the community on what kind of features that they want. And a lot of the time I'll have it in the back of my mind, like I have a grand vision, like I want players to be able to build their dream restaurant and have all these features inside it, but a lot of the time I'll just add to the game every single week, and that's what we do. And yeah, all about
So it's
iterating.
not about adding just assets and things like that, but even progression through the game kind of thing, growing it over time.
Yeah, so a lot of the time we'll add a feature to the game and we'll do it like as an update, but actually, players who join for the first time might not actually have access to that until they've spent maybe 2 hours or a few hours building their restaurant. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention is I've got some like merch at the back, and if anyone asks a question, they can feel free to take some of that as well. Anthony?
So Detol, it seems to have like mixed reviews, but a decent amount of players.
Yeah.
Is that a relatively well-performing branded game, and what do you think makes all these big brands making the games not work as well as the independent ones?
Yeah, so I'll show this slide. A lot of the branded experiences have done really well, especially if the top ones here are like Barbie and Sonic, and obviously those are more suited towards gaming. I think a lot of the more unsuccessful branded Roblox games have been the ones which kind of feel a bit disconnected. They don't really feel like games, but they feel like something's just being shoved in your face, essentially. And yeah, I suppose it depends on how they design the game, and if they design it like an authentic Roblox game and it feels like it fits the platform, I think it can do really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your timeline through like education, like jobs?
Yeah, so I'm very self-taught. When I was about 14 years old, I would come home from school every single night and just like learn how to code and learn how to make Roblox games. And then in 2018, I went over to Lancaster University and I did computer science. So that also helped me learn how to program. And then I had another job with a company making like branded Roblox games, which is when I made or helped make that Deathall game, for example. And then since about 6 months ago, I've been full-time on my own business. And I've just been learning and learning over the past 10 or so years. It's been very gradual. Yes.
Now, Cameron, you talked about the 65-35 split when you were doing the negotiation. Was there a process? Is there a process? Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you have to negotiate with the?
No, so essentially players can buy Robux from the Roblox website, and they might buy it like 1,000 Robux for like $4.99 or something like that. And then they spend the Robux within my game, but then I can cash it out back into real money, but it's at like a really unbalanced rate. So I might be able to turn that 1,000 Robux into like, £1 or £1.50. And Roblox sets the rules there. They don't allow any negotiation on it. And, it's not great for developers, but also Roblox provide a lot of the server costs, for example. So if you're a small business starting out and you don't want to pay for all this like server infrastructure to make your game grow, Roblox will cover it all. So it makes it really easy from like a small business perspective. You can make something without having to invest much money into it. Yeah.
More out of curiosity, so with the iOS ecosystem, they hate that iOS charges 30%, right? They think Apple is evil.
Yeah.
Is there that kind of sentiment for Roblox, or do you guys like actually we get it?
Yeah. So there is sentiment among Roblox developers that they want a bit more cut. Obviously, everyone wants a bit more of a cut. It's interesting because the iOS also hits Roblox because a lot of the Roblox transactions also happen through the Roblox app on Apple devices. So Apple take a 30% cut and then Roblox take their cut, and then the amount that's going to developers is very low compared to what is actually spent on the game. But if you make an experience that's big enough and it gets enough players, then it makes it financially rewarding for developers. But of course, everyone wants more at the end of the day. Yeah.
If I said to you, build a new game right now, like what would your on a high level, what would your process be? Like, do you start out? I know nothing about Roblox, but I just gotta tell you. Do you start with like a core loop and then you do a progression loop, or where do you come up with the ideas? Like, what would be your process?
Interesting. One thing I do is I would play a lot of Roblox games. I would see what a lot of other games are doing because it's a great source of research. But yeah, to approach planning, I would come up with an idea. Honestly, there's so many different things that can work, whether it's car games or it's hiking games or it's fashion games or it's anything. And if you start with a concept and then try to build like a little loop around it that's easy for players to learn, and then you sort of build on it. You say, once a player's been playing for 3 hours inside this game, what do I want them to be doing that they weren't doing to start off with, and how are they going to progress, and what's that journey going to be like? And I'll sort of do that as a brainstorm to start off with, and that's how I would start up.
You
talked on one of your slides about quite a wide regional split, and you showed some of the language in Hindu. Do you find there's a either requirement or pressure to have regional specific content, and is that a thing? So if one region is playing your game, if they have specific unlocks or specific content, and has that changed the way that you approach developing the game?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting because we're coming up to Christmas, and obviously Christmas isn't a thing in every country. Muslims won't celebrate Christmas. So the approach we usually take is to be more inclusive and try to approach that as more like a winter or festive themed update, and just try to cast that net as big as possible, because we don't really do like region specific content. If we market something and say, we're adding this new feature, I would personally want it to be available worldwide for everyone. And that's the approach that I usually take. Thank you for the question. Any more? Yeah.
How do you get going with a brand new game? So if you've designed it, you've built it, put the time and you press play today, no one's ever played it. How do you get the momentum?
Yeah, no, it is actually one of the hardest aspects to get that momentum. And if you were to start off from scratch, obviously no one's really played it, so Roblox doesn't know how good your game is, and it doesn't know whether it should be promoting it to hundreds of users. And that first step actually is quite hard.